Good afternoon, friends. I am glad to be back in the studio here with you. It is a super hot afternoon here in South Central Kansas, so I'm glad to be inside where it's nice and cool. I have been getting a lot of questions here lately about what is the market, how is the real estate market? Let's do a little math here real quick. We call it a market because it fluctuates up and down, back and forth. And there are some things there are dynamics that change periodically every year, every time. It's just a changing market. Let's look at what we had going on here a few weeks ago back in the spring. Buyers typically, when they go qualify for a mortgage, they qualify based upon a budget that they have set for housing, okay? So they will say, we can afford this amount of housing, and that's the budget that we can spend, all right? Hypothetically, let's say that a few weeks ago, a couple were out looking for a house, and they could afford $850, $840 a month, somewhere in there. So if they could afford $840, $850 a month, principal and interest, they were looking at about a $200,000 mortgage, okay? So when they go out on the market, that's the type of houses they would have been looking for a few weeks ago. Federal Reserve has raised interest rates, and then they've just raised them again. So now we're looking at about 6%. That same buyer group will be out shopping for homes. What does that do to what they're looking at? If they were looking at a $200,000 mortgage then to keep that payment around $840 to $850, they're looking at about a $140,000 mortgage now to keep that same payment. That has caused, as you can imagine, some buyer fatigue. They're expecting one thing and now they're having to accept less. So that's what we're working with right now, is with the change of interest. You've seen about a $60,000 drop in the mortgage amount somebody can buy based upon that $840, $850. But when you're looking at the budget and what they can afford, they have taken a slide back as to what they can afford. Now, what does this mean to you as sellers? Obviously, you have fewer buyers, you have more cautious buyers. However, on the bright side, there isn't any inventory on the shelf. When a buyer comes to an area that they've chosen to move to, maybe jobs have taken them here or whatever the situation in life has added, there's just not inventory like there used to be. Now let's look at what's changed over the years. This drops way back because I've been doing this for 30 years. But here in Augusta, in the early 90s, if somebody wanted to go look at homes, we had 65 to 75 houses on the market at any given time, ranging from zero to higher price. And now you're looking at one or two, and in some days there's zero houses on the market. It's still a seller's market. However, you're going to have fewer buyers, at least for the short run. They're talking about some more interest rate hikes, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. What they're talking about 2 months from now may not come to fruition. In a nutshell, what you're looking at from a few weeks ago to where you're at now at the first part of August is you're looking at about a 3% interest increase, and buyers are looking at empty shelves, and they're either going to have maybe a second job to afford the house they want, or they're going to have to lower their expectations and buy a lesser house. Good news for the sellers, it's still a seller's market. Buyers, I know you don't want to hear it, but 3% was way too low. They were loaning money to banks at 0%. We can't do that. 6% is a more reasonable figure that we can work with. Everybody does well when we have a little higher interest rate. And I know you don't want to hear it, but the truth is what it is. Hey, look, I hope you guys are inside too. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like the station, subscribe, watch what's going on. If you have any questions, put them down below. If you have any comments, put them down below. If you disagree, I'd love to dialogue that as well. I learn I learn all the time from other people. I usually know everything till somebody tells me different, right? Anyway, so y'all stay in where it's cool, and I want you to have a blessed day, and I will talk to you later.